Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Bitcoin. It is time for another update, and now that we have extended to even higher prices, the structure has just become more clear. We didn't really have a need for the pattern to unfold in one way or the other. Ultimately, we could have seen, even the case of a failure, we did present here a red interpretation that would have allowed a direct descent to even lower prices, but we were being rather observant in regards to this time frame of what would happen on this chart. We were waiting for signals, for structures to play out in one interpretation or the other, and it seems the yellow scenario might be taking charge on this chart. We would have some more clarity available currently. And before we actually get into those details, the next levels to watch out for, the next patterns to watch out for, I would like to first provide the context for this chart. So, on the larger time frame, we are focusing on this to potentially be a larger wave 1 to the upside and have a pretty significant wave 2 correction. I wouldn't have evidence that this couldn't build a series of 1-2 setups itself, in which case we could upgrade the area of support to significantly higher prices, but I also have no evidence that we wouldn't get this larger wave 2 correction, so I have to be prepared even for this outcome. Now, of course, if we manage to get a confirmation within a smaller time frame, we can identify a trade setup, but as it stands right now, there is a good chance this pattern will extend to even lower prices, as so far the movement to the upside is highly corrective. It is filled with diagonal and corrective structures internally, and we simply do not have the indication that we would actually see the breakout. So, within this correction, we have been tracking this area of an ABC pattern. I would consider it complete at the moment. I haven't been looking for a while now for extensions to even lower prices within this wave C, and I am looking to build potentially something like an ABC structure into this area of resistance for a potentially larger wave B, part of an ABC pattern that could ultimately even take us to our white area of support at around 31k. Now, in this internal correction, we can identify a couple of counts actually, and previously, we have even been looking for the possibility of an impulse. Frankly, the area of support for this white wave 2 hasn't failed, but we have also not managed to actually build an impulse internally within the reversal in this structure. In fact, we had a quite clear pattern within this wave 2, since we did identify an initial 5-wave move to the downside, so we were looking with high probabilities for a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance, and then trend continuation within at least another 5-wave move to the downside. Even in the previous video, we provided resistance levels, and we provided that we would like to see one more low within this structure. It delivered perfectly into this area of support, and this is actually the reason why we can maybe track something slightly different than what we have in the white interpretation, but that could still provide us a confirmation, that could still provide us a trade setup in the long run. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Instead of looking for this to have been like a series of 1-2 setups and for this to build a wave 3 to the upside, I am now exploring two possibilities, and of course, the yellow structure is still perfectly acceptable. It is perfectly possible that we will top within this 5-wave pattern in the wave C and we will have a more substantial top, but I'm talking about the more bullish outcomes, and I am looking either at this to have been a 1-2 and now to have a wave 3 information to get a wave 4 and a wave 5. In this structure, I would need to consider that we would have a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and instead of this being a 1-2 setup, it would have been an ABC pattern, part of a wave 3, part of a larger leading diagonal, in which case we would get our initial 5-wave move to the upside. This can be an interesting setup if we complete the structure, we get the confirmation, and then we head into a wave 2 area of support. Well, that could be an actual accumulation area that could have some decent degree of confirmation, not even within a particularly small time frame, and it would have clearly defined levels of support. In fact, that is what we have been tracking all along within this entire pattern. We have been identifying over and over structures that would have clearly defined levels of resistance and levels of support. This could have theoretically been used as opportunities, especially when we had such patterns as this as a potential initial 5 move to the upside. We had an ABC pattern even in the worst case scenario. We had the area of support where we knew that if we got a sustained break below it, we would likely see extensions directly to lower prices. It wasn't even as important to determine whether it would happen or not. We would have extremely favorable risk-reward ratios, and we were looking at substantial gains even with extremely small positions. The same way, we have identified here this as a bearish setup. We had an initial 5 move to the downside, so an area of resistance would have been available for a short trade setup. Now, this could have led to significantly lower prices than what has happened here, but this would have been the minimum expectations at least. Now, let's actually draw some patterns for the larger structure of what we could identify here. So, I would have, again, the possibility of this being the wave B instead of a wave 2. We would have the same area of support we provided previously for such a wave 2. And this could work out as a wave C, where right now we would be looking to build a 5-wave pattern. We pushed perfectly into the last level of support, as we mentioned, and then we have another option that would allow a similar outcome, but it would be significantly behind in its development compared with what we have in place on this chart. Instead, I would need to consider that this would have been a wave 1 up here, that this would have been a wave 2 down, and this would be simply a wave 3 building instead of the wave C, where I would have an A, B, C structure to be formed. Now, we have issues with both of these interpretations. None of them are particularly perfect, but I do probably prefer this current white scenario. So firstly, within this white scenario, what I do not necessarily like is that within this wave 1, we do not have the most clear 3-wave pattern, right? Even within a leading diagonal, I would have liked probably to have a slightly larger A, B, C structure, right? Something like that would have been a much better fit for what we have within this as a wave 3. Can it still work out? Yes, of course, but again, not necessarily particularly ideal. Then, within the idea of having this as a wave 1, well, I'm not 100% sold on the idea of this being a wave C, right? I do not really like this too much as a 5-wave pattern. We have been tracking it nonetheless, but this entire structure has frankly been a huge mess. So for now, we will keep tracking this white interpretation and what we have here in the yellow scenario, where we will have a wave C to be information here. If we manage to extend within something like an A, B, C pattern within this area, we can start tracking the other scenario that would allow a breakout, but currently I believe this is all we need for the developments we have in place today. So, in this structure, I'm looking for the exact same count in both white and yellow structures. Because we are tracking a wave C within both scenarios, and internally I will hide the yellow scenario just for more visibility, we are looking for this to likely be building an ending diagonal within this as a wave C. This would have a wave 1 up in place, wave 2 would have bottomed here, and the wave 3 actually is at a point that could have a top in place. It's not the perfect pattern that we have internally within this structure, but I could identify within this wave 3 something along the lines of an A, B, C structure. Within such a pattern, I actually do not need any further extensions to consider a top to be in place. I would be fully prepared to look for the wave 4 correction, and given the extension we have so far gotten in this descent to lower prices, I would consider this to be a likely outcome. I would be watching for continuation to higher prices, however, against 70.2k level. And only with a sustained break below this last level of support would I truly have a stronger indication that a more substantial top would already be in place. And technically, it is a possibility. I could maybe even consider the wave 3 to have topped here instead, and this to have been a wave 4 and a wave 5. But I do actually prefer this interpretation, this scenario, and I would show you the RSI, but unfortunately it's not providing any strong indication on whether this would have been the wave 3 top or the top of the entire wave C within the white structure or the yellow structure. And if we actually take a look here, we notice we have some divergences here on the 1 hour time frame. If we go on the 4 hour time frame, sure, we see a struggle to increasing the momentum, but we also do not see a particularly significant decrease. So I would probably prefer to focus on the support levels. I would probably avoid using the RSI in the case of this structure as too strong of an indication. And on the daily, we can actually see the momentum is still building. The corrections so far aren't particularly strong in volume either. And if we want, we can even add a trend line here that could maybe help us in identifying a breakdown of this overall structure. But so far, I do still see a strong momentum in place. I do see the possibility of continuation to higher prices within this wave C. And if I am to look for an ideal target for the wave C of this white structure, well, I would be looking at the 100% extension of the wave A. We are getting quite close to it, but again, one more high would be ideal in my opinion within this structure. Now, we go in an even smaller time frame, and here we can maybe identify actually an initial 5-week move to the downside that would be in formation. We certainly do not have it in place, but I do see this as a potential impulse that would be currently building. We won't go even deeper than this in terms of adding a count, but within this structure, I could see this wave 3 have something like a 1, 2, and the wave 3 here would actually still be ongoing. Where within this wave 3, I would consider this to be the wave 5, and within this wave 5, I would have something along the lines of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So I would expect still further continuations to lower prices, even within the internal wave 3 of this entire wave 3. And if we actually follow through, we build this 5-week pattern to the downside, we will have a wave A in place. We would need to be extremely careful of a follow-up wave B correction and extension to even lower prices within a wave C. That would be the indication based on the structure. And based on the current strength, we actually see within this overall extension to lower prices, I would find it worrisome. I would definitely be watching out for a wave 4 resistance area. And as I was saying, if we build the wave 5, it's a setup, but it can also be considered a confirmation that the structure will break down even further. And for now, we will not go beyond this. I am still watching for these levels to extend even lower, and in reality, I will be tracking the levels of resistance for a wave 4 in the scenario where I would consider the wave 3 had already bottomed. So I would be watching up to the 50% retracement, because it is possible that this wave 3 is actually complete. I just find it rather unlikely. But I would be watching up to 76.3k for continuation to lower prices. And if we actually get a sustained break above this, well, it would be our signal that instead this would have been something like a 3-wave correction rather, that this might have actually bottomed within this wave 4 in blue. But at this point in time, there is no strong evidence suggesting this to be the case. Actually, we are extending to lower prices as we are recording this video, and I would be prepared for this trend to continue at the moment. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. Other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I wish you a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.